Welcome back to the World Warrior Canada West. We just went through the top 8 bracket here. My name is Beirudi. I'm joined by the great drunk Suika, also known as sober Suika now. But we are talking with our winner of this week's bracket, which is Mike the God X. He is joining us here. Just gonna hear his wonderful voice. How you doing, Mike?
Good.
How do you feel, man? You placed third last week. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what you placed the very first one.
You placed third in the first week,
it's
too?
First, yeah. You just been coming third place. And here you are, not dropping a single set this week. Just killing it. What changed? What happened? What have you been drinking? What have you been doing?
I honestly, I've just been trying to focus on actually developing my Luke instead of trying to flip-flop or think about matchups too much or character hopping a lot. And I'm kind of trying to work on just whiff punishing more instead of whiffing a lot, because I got blown up near the end week 2 by Marissa because I just kept whiffing, and then you whiff against Marissa and you lose like 50%, you're in the corner, and then you have to guess for game pretty much. So it's rough stuff.
Speaking of character flip-flopping and the like, week 1 you did flip-flop between the Ken and the Luke. Was the Ken the original character?
It was actually Luke right before that, but I thought that since Ken's probably almost the best character in the game, he's probably the better option to go with long term. But I even though I know he's probably better, and most people say he's better, I just don't vibe with him as much as Luke these days.
Yeah. What is it about Luke that you think attracts you to that character? Just as far as, there's a character that's been in a lot of conversation now, right? Where there's a lot of players that obviously always had them in the top 5 and still maybe do, but there's also other players that are saying that maybe he's not as good as some of these other top tiers. As good as we thought he was going to be in the beginning of this game's life cycle.
What kind of attracts me to him is that you get a lot of damage off of all your touches, and you can kind of play that solid like fireball footsie game without worrying about too many gimmicks or whatever. It's almost a strength and a weakness that he doesn't have any crazy gimmicks, because you don't have to worry about messing up much setups because there's not many setups to do, but at the same time you can't like gimmick somebody out of the set, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your play has actually evolved to be quite clean, and like you said, you were making some whiffs in the last week, but this time around you're pretty good about when you poke out and when you confirm. Though you do weave in a couple of reversal DPs here and a couple of cheeky little resets there. What's your mindset when you're throwing your pressure at your opponent? What are you trying to do when you're overwhelming them like that?
Well, I'm usually trying to pressure them in a way that makes them uncomfortable to try to tech, because Luke's got the neutral jump or standing heavy punch to blow up throws on a shimmy. So I try to condition people to eat a lot of damage off of one of those, and then try to like instate that throw loop game in the corner there. So it kind of makes people scared to tech, so then I could just throw loop them.
Nice. Mike, I ask everyone this question as just a bit of a fun question, because it's very interesting to hear every different player's opinions. And in fact, you've been doing so well with Luke. Last time I asked Noodle, with the meta of Street Fighter 6 constantly changing and we're seeing characters come up and maybe go down, who's the character that you think is a bit underrepresented right now in Street Fighter 6 that you think has more potential than we possibly have seen so far?
I'd say Rashid, to be honest. I know he's the newest character in the game, but I've been seeing like JB and Dual Kevin do a lot of good things with Rashid, and I think once more people start to pick up on that instead of ignoring him because he's so new, I think he could actually become a pretty high level threat of a character.
I love that answer. I totally agree with that too. I'm a Rashid main, and I think he's even better than some people give him credit for. I think he's very, very scary and has a lot of potential. The one kind of dark horse isn't the right word, maybe one of the pillars right now of this Canada West Coast who hasn't been around for the last 2 tournaments is Justin Marvelous Wong. With all of his Luke development, What do you think? You know, how do you think that matchup's gonna go? And what do you even just think about the Luke versus Cammy matchup, knowing that the character Cammy seems to be a little bit quite dominant here in the West Coast Canada brackets?
Well, I haven't been too worried about Ken. I actually was more uncomfortable playing Ken Cammy, to be honest. And that was what was part of the switch, because I didn't want to have to be playing Ken Cammy all the time. And I was a little more comfortable with Luke Cammy because Sandblast is a little harder for them to spin knuckle than Ken slow fireball. So and with Luke, I didn't get to show it off, but with Luke, you kind of can. I had this tech where you can back heavy punch a dive kick and like whiff punish it for a counter hit, but I wasn't able to hit one tonight. But I just have a couple options, and I don't have to worry about her walking in as much because I got the standing jab or the crouching medium punch check for her jab pressure. It's just, Justin Wong, I haven't got to play Cammy yet, but I'm hopeful that matchup will go as the other ones have tonight.
Now, speaking of Cammy and Noodle, even in the question before, in the first week you lost to Noodle with the Ken, and then the Luke, I think you made a swap, but it was a little too late. And in the last tournament, you lost to Nate here. So getting 2 runbacks, how does it feel?
It feels pretty good because it kind of puts a lot of some of the doubts that I've had about come regional finals time, that like, what if I can't beat these guys in general? So being able to get the run back and beat both of the people who sent me home week 1 and 2 feels really good.
That's what I want to hear. That's some good stuff. Now, I'm out of questions. How are you feeling, Bear?
No, Mike. One last question I want to ask you is are you from Vancouver? Are you from the BC area? Are you from Alberta?
I'm actually from Saskatchewan.
Oh,
hey, yo.
Let's go. See, this is the type of stuff we want to hear, representing all the Saskatchewan players out there. That's awesome.
That's just the good net code, letting us play with more of our brethren here in Canada. And speaking of shout outs, is there anyone else you want to shout out while you're here?
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to shout out my fiance, Brienne, for being so supportive of me doing these tournaments and spending more of this time to myself, because, you know, obviously she likes to spend time with me too, but there's not a lot of free time to be had when you're spending 3-4 hours on these online tournaments sometimes. So definitely to her, and to my friend, Galen, who actually was the one that pitched the idea that, hey, you're pretty good at Street Fighter, you should try entering some of these online tournaments. So then now here we are.
I love it. I love to hear it. That is awesome. Great stuff today, Mike X. We are looking forward to seeing you next time in the next bracket in 2 weeks here, and hopefully Justin Wong will be there. And you know, you just ran through this week like it was nothing.
This was a clean bracket for you, sir. Hope to see you make another clean one next one.
Yes. I'm hoping so.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike X. Cheers.
No problem. You guys have a good night. Bye-bye.
And if you heard it from Mike, he didn't even consider it, and a friend said, hey, you're pretty good, come on down. So consider us your friend when we say, if you guys think you got the skills and you have fun playing Street Fighter, come on down to the World Warrior